It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matthew Moreno, here to break down the winning streak Dodgers, Matt, who finished the first half with the best record in the National League, a comfortable lead in the division, just as we all expected.
Yeah, Jeff, you were spared the Friday night show. I know it's not on our regular calendar. Blake and I decided to do one after the Dodgers lost again to the Giants. Losing streak at that point was 7 games. And we got a lot of heat that night. A lot of people telling us that the Dodgers were going to get swept in this series. Why don't we understand that they're just a bad team and this and that, so on and so forth. And you look at the calendar, the Dodgers have won every game that they have played since then. And so it's kind of funny how baseball sort of tends to even out one way or the other. And again, like at the end of that show, it was a lot of kind of laughs and stuff. Scott joined us. He was free late, getting home late. So he hopped on, and it's just another reminder of, look, and we'll get into it. I know on this one, like, you never know what can happen one way or the other. Yes, teams are favored and whatnot, but things happen. It's baseball. It's a long season now. Am I going to sit here and say, because they won these 2 games, they're definitely winning the World Series? No, like, it doesn't work that way. And that's the biggest thing that I'll remind people we try to bring to this show. We're not going to sit up here and do the doomsday stuff just for the sake of doing it, like maybe you might get from some other people. I think our followers, our listeners, our viewers deserve a lot better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like we tell people not to overreact to a handful of losses in a row, nobody is up here saying they're now the best team in baseball because they've won 2 in a row. But it does put some things in perspective. Again, it's crazy to think that the Dodgers will finish the first half with the best record in the National League, a 6-game lead on the San Francisco Giants, a 5.5-game lead on the Padres as we sit here and record this today. So lots to get into. As always, thank you to everyone joining us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We appreciate all of you. And, with such an exciting game, rather than wait until our normal Sunday night show, we figured we would hop in early. As you can tell, I am out of town, not in my normal recording spot. So we're making it happen for you. So thanks, everybody, for hopping in. We've got a super chat right from the get-go. Baseball Geek says, don't know which will go down in Dodgers history as the worst move, trading Yordan Alvarez for just Josh Fields, signing Trevor Bauer, or signing Tanner Scott. Are we – I know we're going to get to Tanner Scott here in a minute. Is it on this level, Matt?
No, I mean, there's one of those 3 that sticks out as the worst move Andrew Friedman has made, I guess, in Dodgers history, as Baseball Geek is saying. And it's as much as they hurt, it's not trading Yordan Alvarez and it's not signing Tanner Scott. Although, look, Tanner Scott is, I mentioned on our last show, Freddie Freeman is something I'm concerned about. Tanner Scott and the closer role, I think, is something the Dodgers are going to have to look at. And I have been saying, I don't know when's the last time I said it, maybe a week ago, 10 days ago, that I didn't necessarily think the Dodgers would make an impact move at the deadline. It wouldn't shock me now if they go and get a big name reliever at this point.
So you think signing Bauer was worse than trading Yordan for a reliever, a middle reliever? I mean, at the time you could justify the Yordan one. In hindsight, though, I feel like that one has aged as poorly as it's possible.
I mean, I think because of the stuff that it
Fair.
all entails is why it from a strictly baseball standpoint, yes, like there is one, like the Yordan Alvarez trade is probably the worst thing, but stuff like that's also hard, right? Because if they didn't trade Yordan Alvarez and then at some point you're signing him to a big contract, like, does it mean maybe player X isn't on this team at this point? Like the butterfly effect, right? And he is, dealing with a hand injury, but if they would have won a World Series or 2 with him by this point, then sure, it'd be obviously worth it having him around. But yeah, I mean, we can just move on.
Things have planned out well for the Dodgers, regardless. Yes. JP Jazzman says Yamamoto was brilliant. All the relievers did their job except Tanner freaking Scott. He's a bust. Trade him to Tampa. Zero faith in Yates also. I I was surprised that Kirby Yates was not like anywhere to be seen in this one because it was Bonda that was warming up if Kasparius needed backup in that 11th inning.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought for sure that it was going to be Kirby Yates tonight, or excuse me, today in the 9th inning. I guess looking back on it, like it would have been a back-to-back for Tanner Scott, and the Dodgers have said that he can handle that type of workload. And I mean, obviously the results were what they were today. I don't know if pitching back-to-back was the reason why. I know in broad terms, like there's a general belief, I think, right, that, and maybe you have more nerd data on this than I do. You're not necessarily as sharp your second day, right? Like maybe the velocity is half a tick down. And I didn't look at, I know this might surprise people, I didn't dig into Tanner Scott's numbers today. I mean, honestly, everything was just happening way too quick. The recap needed to get rewritten at that point in case the Dodgers lost in walk-off fashion. So, I mean, it's been rough for Tanner Scott, but yes, I do agree with you. I was surprised that it wasn't Kirby Yates. The result notwithstanding, like even before Tanner Scott even came into the game, I thought it would be Yates.
Or at the very least that maybe Yates would be the first guy up afterwards or something like that. But again, they go to Jack Dreyer, the lefty, then Ben Kasparius, and Bonda would have been behind him. So, Noah with the super chat. With the Dodgers closing struggles and the club experimenting with Benny Cap, should they try him in a closing role? He obviously ends up, I guess he gets the win because he came in to get the final out of the 10th and then closed it out in the 11th. But with Tanner Scott struggling as much as he has, and with Kirby Yates, who would presumably be second in that pecking order as far as guys who are currently healthy, also struggling, would Kasparius be your guy? Would it be Alex Vesia? I know he's probably been the most effective reliever on the season. Obviously, Blake Trinan due back from injury at some point as well. So if it's not Scott and it's not Yates, and we're not saying that is the case, but if you were moving on from those two guys, who would be next up for you? Would it be Kasparius? Would it be hope that Trinan is healthy? Where would you go?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, if you're looking at options, kind of, I'll say available in terms of like already in the organization, Trinan is who you're hoping, I think, can be that person. It's obviously not going to be Evan Phillips since he unfortunately had Tommy John surgery. Kasparius early in the season, as the Dodgers were sort of utilizing him in all the different roles, seemed to thrive in kind of high leverage spots as well. And so, maybe he is somebody who they look to fill this void.
Yeah, I'm with you. Aaron says, as long as Tanner finds it by October, it's all that matters. If he's lights out when it matters most, no one will care about the BS in the first half. This is kind of where I am. Like, I still have confidence that this can be fixed. I refuse to believe that a guy can be as dominant as he has been, not just for one season, but over an extended period of a few seasons. And also how dominant he has flashed at times as a Dodgers closer. I just have to believe that they're going to be able to find it at some point. And hopefully it's towards the end of the season when these games matter most. But I know for me, Matt, I have not given up on him long term. I'm ready to move on from him being our closer for the next few weeks. But in the long run, I still feel like he's going to be a key piece and an absolute weapon when things matter most.
Yeah, I think both things with this can be true. But also within that, I don't know if there's a world where the Dodgers like very clearly remove him from the closer role. And then you also get to the point in October where you still trust him because I would worry about potentially I'm not questioning his mental fortitude, but like that is always a tricky thing with closers, especially, right? Like, and we've seen he's been through this with Kenley Jansen.
Yeah.
Like Kenley struggled and Dave kept saying like, no, he's our closer. And then you would see, Kenley's actually pitching in the 7th or 8th inning tonight instead of maybe the 9th type thing. So potentially we see something like that. I agree with Aaron that as long as Tanner Scott gets right by the playoffs, nobody will really people will remember like his inconsistent season, but it'll be forgiven.
Yeah.
What I question is Tanner Scott going to get to that point? And you took the words out of my mouth. You said like you have confidence in him. My confidence in Tanner Scott as the closer is very low. And I don't know, like if the playoffs started in a month, like I would say, hey, like the Dodgers better have a pretty firm backup option.
Yeah, and I'm with you, to be clear. I'm believing in Tanner Scott 3 months from now as having figured something out, tapped back into something, and being somebody that I trust. And so, but maybe the Dodgers decide to do kind of the, closer by committee. Hey, we're not removing Tanner Scott from his role. We're just going to play the matchups a little bit. And it's going to be Blake Trinan a little bit here, and it's going to be Tanner Scott a little bit here. And then since Michael Kopech is only going to be out for oh no, wait, never mind. He's on the IL forever. They just figure it out and patch it together. Kopech. So yeah. That's how I would do things, but we'll see. We'll see how this happens. Bacon Tree says Mookie, Teo, Tommy, Freddie all need to reset during this break. Blake closer once he is back. Trinan. They need to find ways to bulk the offense up after the All-Star game. It does feel like the offense is limping to the finish line here. We talked about how bad they were during the losing streak. They win, 2-1 yesterday, and then we're scheduled to win this one 2-0 until Scott blew things up and they got 3 line drives in the box score, let's say, in the 11th to make this a 5-2 win. But are you worried about the offense, or do you think this is just kind of a midsummer swoon?
No, I mean, look, I'm seeing, a lot of these people who are with us on Friday night, and even when I hosted with Anthony earlier in the week, I'm concerned, and maybe it sounds a little funny because Freddie Freeman got, 2 big hits today, but I am concerned about how long he has been in his slump for. I'm concerned about Freddie because of how long his slump has gone on for. Typically, like, every player is prone to, going through a downward stretch at some point. But in Freddie's case, it's never, at least since we've been covering, day-to-day basis with the Dodgers, it's never been this long. And so that leads me to believe, like, is there something health related that is potentially causing it? And it's not just, he doesn't have the right feel at the plate. The Mookie situation, is concerning. I know Blake has been way out in front and kind of waving a red flag as to, hey, what are expectations for Mookie? What caliber hitter is he still at this point in his career? I don't know if Mookie will continue to be this bad, but also, like, the virus, like, again, like, that is, in my opinion, connected to his health stuff that he dealt with to begin the season. And so is this basically going to be sort of a lost year in some sense for him, of, like, you hope that Mookie just catches lightning in a bottle enough times when there's, key at bats, and he just might not be able to fully get on track because of what he dealt with. The Teoscar Hernandez situation. I mean, he hasn't, I know that I don't think he started the season well, but he maybe had a strong 2 weeks or so. But then, he went on the injured list and hasn't been the same since then. And now he's dealing with a bone bruise in his foot. And he was open with Kirsten Watson during a pregame interview on Sportsnet LA, kind of discussing the different challenges. Tommy Edman, I know you got crushed for kind of trying to warn people of what expectations should be for him this season. And so, yeah, I mean, I it's a long-winded way of saying these guys do have, as Dave Roberts likes to say, he'll bet on their track records in the back of the baseball cards and this and that. And so there is some optimism there, but there are also, some pretty big warning signs that are flashing pretty bright. And hopefully, again, I got crushed personally Friday for not being negative enough. So hopefully saying that there are things that are wrong with the Dodgers will get me some brownie points today, although people seem to be in a much better mood.
Yeah, and I'll say this again, I sound like a broken record. I'm not worried about the offense. Like, it's a slump. It's the middle of the summer. You look at the bones of this offense, and I just believe that the guys that are struggling are going to figure it out. Like Freddie Freeman, 2 for 5, has the RBI double early in the game, gets the bloop single late in the game. We could talk about the bloop single, unlucky, or I should say fortunate, but he roped a ball down the right field line earlier in the game. And so he's going to find it when he needs to find it. Even Mookie Betts, like we talk about, I was the one that I probably shouldn't have given Blake the stat, but I went back to like midway through last year and said over the last, 450 at bats, this is Mookie Betts. But I always point out he had a 950 OPS in the postseason last year and was basically the best offensive player they had for the entire World Series run. So maybe there's something he can tap back into, but I'm not ready to panic about the offense as bad as this 9-game stretch has been. I just think they have the horses, get these guys a rest, get them into meaningful baseball games towards the end of the season. And I just, maybe I'm dumb, but I'm going to believe that they're going to figure things out.
Real quick, I just want to say, if you're watching us on YouTube and I'm looking down, it's because I'm making a note of who's doing super chats tonight. So I don't want you to think I'm distracted or not paying attention or not interested. I'm making a note, and Jeff, you can let everybody
Yeah.
know why. If I kind of finish up here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we've been doing a giveaway over all 3 of our platforms. So on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We did the Twitter giveaway. We're giving away a copy of the Shohei Ohtani book that Bill Plunkett wrote, which, if you haven't read it, is a great recap of the 2024 season, Shohei Ohtani 50-50, and then, of course, the World Series run. And so the publisher, we partnered with them to give away 1 book on each of our 3 platforms. So Twitter, we already give one away. So congratulations to the winner on that. We'll announce that here. I can't remember if we've already announced it. I wasn't following the account. We announced it today. Great. Yeah. On YouTube, anybody who puts in a super chat today or on Tuesday's show will be entered for a chance to win as well. Doesn't matter if it's a $2 super chat or a $20 super chat, but you'll be entered to win. So go ahead if you want, like to enter, and then stay tuned on Instagram because we're going to be giving away a copy of the book over on that platform as well. So all super chats are entered. Idle Rose, Jeff, can you give us a warning before you start the Outman glazing segment? I'm not ready to hear it. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I predicted that he was going to be the hero of the game, or that like his arm kept a guy on second. He makes a great catch in dead center field and then scores the go-ahead run. I would not say any of those things, Matt. That would be immature of me. That would be, just a little bit too out in front of it. So I'll spare you all. There will be no glazing of the guy who made an incredible catch to save the game and scored the go-ahead run. It won't be from me.
Where would the Dodgers be without Michael Conforto and James Outman these last 2 days? I think it's a fair question to ask. They might be on that 9-game losing streak that everybody kept telling us was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Conforto scored all their runs yesterday. Outman, game save and catch. Again, I won't glaze, but just in case. If I was going to, it'd probably sound something like that. Freedom. Tanner Scott blows it in the 9th. Freddie and Hernandez come shining through. Can we talk about that 11th inning there, Matt? Because baseball, Ohtani gets intentionally walked to start that. Mookie Betts flies out to right field. I can't remember who was standing on second base at this point, but he probably should have tagged. Who it was, completely irrelevant to the rest of this game. It was Outman. Will Smith strikes out. So you've got 2 outs. You've got runners at first and second, and it looks everybody is just assuming the worst. They didn't score in the 10th. They blew it in the 9th. Freddie Freeman, bloop single, Outman scores. Teoscar Hernandez, ground ball that the first baseman tries to throw a bounce pass to like a 7-4 pitcher running to cover first. That doesn't work. Another run scores. Pages, bloop single to right field over the second baseman's head. Another run scored. So shout out to Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, and Andy Pages for catching those runs in. But that's ultimately the difference. And this is what I love. You lose 7 games in a row. There's probably a couple things go one way or the other, and you feel like you're in those games. And then you win yesterday. Nice pitching duel. And today, it feels like everything is going sideways, and you get 3 of the dumbest hits imaginable in succession in extra innings to beat the Giants. This is why we love this game, Matt.
Yeah, it honestly reminded me a lot of several Giants games in the past. It's a random Wednesday night, maybe in September, maybe in August, and the Giants are getting one little, infield single, one little bleeder after another, and chipping away at a deficit, and then ending up coming back. Yeah, I mean, it's baseball, and that's what, it's maddening, it's exciting, it's fun to kind of, as you said, sometimes you just have to kind of sit back and laugh at it.
Yeah, exactly. And it worked out well. Wayne says, reliever volatility cuts both ways. Hopefully Scott figures it out by the postseason, but they may need to go Treinen for the closer role. We talked about this on the last show. I believe Tanner Scott, I can't remember if it's 5, maybe it's 6 home runs now that he's given up this season, which is double the amount of home runs that he gave up. Let me see if I can find the stat in my notes. But basically, that's when we talk about reliever volatility. That's the type of thing we are talking about, is those types of things, and just the way that things can go sideways really, really quickly. I can't find it. 7 home runs. So he's up to 8 home runs allowed this season. Tanner Scott is. He gave up 3 all of last season. So that's the problem, though, if you're a reliever. Like, the one swing kills you because you don't get, 22 plate appearances that you're up against every single time you go out there. And so 8 home runs allowed, that number comes down, who knows, I guess is what you're crossing your fingers for.
Yeah, I mean, his 7, the home runs are an issue, but also the pinch hitter today, his name's escaping me right now. I don't think he's not necessarily.
Oh yeah, Luis Matos.
Yes, it's not. I don't think a big bopper kind of threat that you would.
He was hitting 165 coming into that plate appearances. For anybody that was wondering,
I thought I saw something like that. But also, I mean, that's kind of the responsibility of a closer, though, too, right? Like Tanner Scott has the contract that he has for a reason, and he's in that role or at least has been put into that role for this season for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's I don't want to say it's high risk, high reward, but that's like you get a lot of praise when you're a shutdown closer and you get these big contracts, stuff like that. And then like the expectation is you don't give up a bunch of home runs. And now he's at also 7 blown saves, which is tied a career high already. And that was originally like 2022. So yeah, I mean it's tough.
Yeah, I'm with you. Justin, Dodgers need to trade for Joan Duran or Ryan Helsley. We have lost Phillips, Kopech, Tanner, and Kirby can't be trusted. Who knows about Brewstar or Blake? Trinan, I would say you can probably feel decent about him at least coming back in the near future. He's looked good. And, again, whether you believe any of these things, his injury was not feared at the time. It felt like more of a, hey, buddy, why don't you just take a month off, go celebrate the 4th of July for a while, and we'll see you in a few weeks. But, I mean, with this said, Andy McCullough of The Athletic, who we're going to be posting an interview I did with him tomorrow, we talked about the trade deadline and previewing that. And even prior to yet another Tanner Scott blowup, we've had lots of conversations that reliever might be the place that the Dodgers need to go and address. Now, Duran, Helsley, like these are going to be expensive players. So the question is, what kind of prospects are the Dodgers willing to give up? Do they want to be swimming in the deepest end of the pool, or do they want to be swimming in kind of like middle relief type waters? That's ultimately the question. But I don't want to overreact to one game today, but you're kind of looking and saying, okay, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, even if people are healthy, those are 2 of your 3 best relievers. And right now you can't trust them. So I'm not ready to panic. Big picture, at least Tanner Scott. Yates is a little more worrisome. It feels like he has less margin for error. But lots of people in baseball seem to think these are the waters the Dodgers might be swimming in.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of feels like their hand might be forced into it, and that's not a position I know Andrew Friedman likes to be in. So to your point, like externally it might look like, hey, the Dodgers actually need to go and get basically an A+ reliever, and he might think, no, like we'll take our chances with a B+ guy and count on Blake Trinan coming back and pitching well and staying healthy. Michael Kopech, I didn't mention him earlier. You brought him up. Like he is supposed to return this season, so we'll count on him coming back and pitching well and getting healthy. Like and unfortunately, the Dodgers have been for better or worse. They've been in this position for like 3 years, like this extreme of a position now for at least the last 2 seasons. I think the year before when they went out and got Lance Lynn, like that was pretty bad too. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I know that Duran and the other guy, Griffin, is it Jax from the Twins?
Oh, yeah.
Bob Nightingale mentioned that the Phillies have interest in them. He specifically mentioned the Phillies. Then he also mentioned the Dodgers and a couple other teams had checked in with the Twins as well. It wasn't entirely clear if it was on Duran and Jax specifically, but it was sort of implied. And I watched your interview with Andy McCullough, and as Justin here is saying, like the implication is certainly there. The Dodgers are kicking around the relief market.
And keep in mind that the other piece I keep saying is keep in mind that some of the additions to the bullpen could come from excess starting pitchers if the Dodgers ever get to that point. So a guy like Dustin May, I know a lot of people for a number of years have said, just put this guy in the bullpen and let him eat. Like, well, okay, that might be coming pretty soon. Actually, that might be shortly after the All-Star break if you start doing the math on how many starting pitchers they have. But even a guy like Emmett Sheehan could get crowded out eventually. So Kasperius has already moved back there. Justin Robleski could be pushed there at some point. So I think there is going to be some electric arms internally that may find their way into the bullpen, or at least as options. Brewstar Gratterall, another guy who could be back. Maybe Edgardo Enriquez is throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour down in the minor league. So the Dodgers will have a little bit of time, a tiny bit of time after the All-Star break to figure some things out. We'll see what ends up happening on that one. Freedom with another super chat. I still think it will be Dodgers Giants in the playoffs and not the Padres. I disagree. I think Padres end up eking out and beating the Giants. That's my view. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I'll go with that. I still think the Padres have enough talent to overtake the Giants, but again, like I kept waiting for the Giants to fall off in 2021 and it never happened. So maybe I should be careful. Maybe I should learn from my mistake, but I do agree with you. I think the Padres sneak in.
Gabriel says, great win today, taking 2 out of 3 from the hated ones up north. Boys definitely need to rest during the All-Star break. Looking forward to the second half. Go Dodgers. It's worth pointing out, we talked about this. You posted a tweet about how the Dodgers had closed the first half last season pretty poorly and putting it into context. And I was like, I wonder how they did last year after the All-Star break. Well, they came out and they won 5 straight games in that one. So let's just hope that the Dodgers do that again. But to Gabriel's point, regardless of the 7 games, the team that was closest to them in the standings and their biggest rival, some would say, the San Francisco Giants, they take 2 out of 3 in San Francisco. They extend the divisional lead, again, back to 5.5 over the Padres, 6 over the Giants. So good news there. Carlos with the super chat. What an out, man. Just a great catch. I mean, so I want to ask you a serious question about James Outman. We have talked repeatedly about how bad defensively the Dodgers are in the outfield. And with Max Muncy out and Tommy Edman moving to third base, it's not getting better anytime soon. And I know James Outman's bat is really, really bad. Like really, really bad right now. Is there a place for him on this roster in your mind, strictly as a borderline, if not elite, center fielder who can maybe take a little pressure off whatever side Teoscar Hernandez is on or Michael Conforto is on or whatever? Like, does that role exist? Or do you think Pages has improved enough as a center fielder, Kim, whatever, that there's like, they have enough seats at that table and that wouldn't waste a roster spot on a defensive replacement in the outfield?
I think the biggest problem with that is when they're assuming, and again, like it's a dangerous game, especially with the Dodgers, but assuming health, like whose roster spot is he taking? Because they do trust Kiki at multiple positions, and Kiki is strong enough defensively that he has been utilized as a defensive replacement. Now, in the outfield specifically, I think Outman is better. Yeah. But it's not like if Kiki comes in, for defensive purposes in the 8th inning, like none of us ever sit there and say, whoa, wait a minute. Like, what are you doing?
It's not terrible.
Right. So I just don't know, like, given the current roster construction, like you're obviously not carrying James Outman instead of your backup catcher. Right. Sung Kim is safe. I think Kiki Hernandez, assuming health, like is safe. Miguel Rojas, like, I mean, he's sort of carrying the offense. His last 16 games, what is it, 4 home runs in the last 16 or something like that. So he's safe. So I think it just, Outman would be a good, right now, the role he's filling is perfect and they do need it. But going forward, like, assuming people are back healthy, like I just don't see there being enough space for him.
Yeah, I'm with you. Greg, what's more frustrating, this stretch or 0-11 in 2017? Why do the Dodgers just forget how to play baseball sometimes? Am I remembering right? The 2017 stretch, they were like a million games up in the division already at that point. That was like late in the year, right? Like August?
Yes, it was late in the year. I think it might have started in August and then gone into, it definitely reached September at some point. Yes, that was concerning and fans were losing their mind back then. And I get it. Like, just like I understand the frustration with when they were losing 7 in a row. I think just the point we try to hammer home and it sound like a broken record is that this losing streak, whether it's, 11 games, 7 games, 3 games, 5, whatever the case, like it doesn't guarantee anything one way or the other in October. And that's what we try to remind people of so that we can have fun, engaging discussions with you guys.
Yep. Ivan says, put me in the running for the book. Love you guys. If you missed it, we are giving away a copy of Bill Plunkett's book about Shohei Ohtani and the 2024 season that he had, that the Dodgers had. If you submit a super chat tonight or Tuesday, you will be entered for a chance to win. You can also enter on Instagram. That giveaway will be coming in the future as well. Cordena says, shout out to Pages and his center field defense. It has improved. I'll give him that. There have not been the boneheaded mistakes that it feels like we have seen in the past. Noah with another super chat. Roki, Krimble, Glasnow, Scott Yates, with a good amount of pitchers underperforming and tons of injuries. Is there a question with the coaching staff? Oh, I'm guessing we're just talking about guys that they've signed from elsewhere. I will be the last person to ever criticize the front office or the coaching staff of the Dodgers. And I would just say the proof is in the pudding. Can you find individual instances and small sample sizes that seem to suggest they aren't good at their jobs? Absolutely. But when you look at how many divisions in a row they've won, how many times they've been to and then won the World Series, like, I think those things just carry a lot more weight to me than some of the other stuff. For every guy that comes over and struggles initially, and again, with Scott and Yates, we're not even talking about a full season. We're talking about half a season, if that. There's other guys who have come over. You could add Conforto to the list of disappointments, but look at what they've done with Andy Pages. Like, look at what they've done with some of the other players who have come in and been successful. So I understand how frustrating it can be in small sample sizes, but I still think the larger sample size outweighs the smaller one.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I'm assuming Noah, when he's saying coaching staff, he's specifically talking about the major league staff, like the Mark Pryors, the Connor McGinnis. And so I don't know how much blame, goes to them. If you want to look at maybe the training and medical side, then perhaps. But really, I think this is a bigger issue. And we've brought this up several times in the past. I think the bigger concerns, questions, criticism, analysis, kind of maybe need to make changes, comes with how the Dodgers and I think baseball industry as a whole, like, develop guys as after they get drafted. And I mean, in some sense, and I don't mean this to belittle, obviously the MLB draft is happening as we're doing this now, and I don't mean this in a belittling way at all. Like, some of these guys already, especially pitchers, are damaged goods by the time they get to being drafted because of how they've been brought up, in high school ball and all that stuff, and velocity and things of that nature. So I know the first, like, we focus on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have certainly had like an extreme case of injuries and things like that. But yeah, I don't think it's entirely fair to put it on just the coaching staff.
Totally. You mentioned the draft, by the way. There are 21 picks in. The Dodgers don't pick until pick number 40. So my guess is those picks will not be made while we were still live on here, but who knows? Maybe we'll break some news, and Matt can break down the shortstop from Dallas, Texas, and what he liked in game number 7 of his junior season. So
definitely,
stay tuned for that sort of analysis. Tim says, I liked Shohei's start yesterday. He's progressing. I'm starting to think this Ohtani guy is pretty good, Matt. Pretty good.
Yeah, they should look into having him make a few more starts for them to finish this year.
Chops says, do you guys think you talk about the World Series more or less than the average regular season baseball recap show? Considering I end every show by saying still champs, I would guess we're number 1 in that category. And I'm going to say this, damn proud of it, Matt. Damn proud that we talk about the fact that the Dodgers, yes, in case anybody in here forgot, are the 2024 World Series champions, that they've won twice in the last 5 years, that they're really freaking good at baseball. So I don't know if this is just a question or if this is supposed to be some sort of own, but I was born in 1988 after they won the World Series then. I did not see them win a World Series until 2020. So I'm just going to keep talking about it. That's on me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Chops is, I think, somewhat new. The name's not sticking out as being, maybe one of our regulars. So I don't know, Chops, if you're still here, maybe give us some clarity. I don't know if this is a dig or if it's a genuine question. What I can tell you is, like, I don't think we sit here and say the Dodgers won the World Series last year, so who cares what happens moving forward. It's more of just a reference point of, look at everything that was going wrong for them heading into October last season. They still won the World Series. But the biggest thing is here, Chops, I'm glad. Thank you for the super chat, because you're now entered, as Jeff said, for Bill Plunkett's book on Shohei Ohtani, which recaps his first season with the Dodgers that I don't know if people have heard ended with the World Series win.
And by the way, I do think winning the World Series buys you a little bit of breathing room when it comes to some of the criticism. So maybe that's kind of the point there as well. Cordena says, shout out to DePaula. That's true. Josue DePaula, Dodgers top prospect, MVP of the Futures game yesterday. If you missed that 3-run home run, that was an absolute missile. It's like 108, 109 off the bat, 415 feet off one of the top left-handed pitching prospects in the game. So lefty on lefty, a guy in AAA against a guy, I believe, who's still in high A, and DePaula took it to the right field seat. So shout out to him. Fritz, is Shohei going to pitch 4 innings before September? Enough with the kid gloves treatment. He was lights out on the mound. Hey, good news. We got up to 3 innings yesterday. This is like one of those, like, should we be asking more? Maybe, but like, this to me feels like we should just be happy with what we got, because he did not pitch just 2 innings yesterday, Matt.
Yeah, the 1 inning when he was really efficient in his second start and only did 1 inning again. Like, I could see frustration with that a little bit, but at this point, the biggest factor is keeping Ohtani healthy, and he has said it. Like, he and the Dodgers have kind of agreed on this plan that, the details are not fully disclosed to us publicly, but they're going to, the way Ohtani worded it was, quote, like, avoid unnecessary risks type thing. And so, yeah, I think we should be relieved and happy that Dave Roberts backed off his stance of initially saying he doesn't know if Ohtani will get to like 5 or 6 innings this year, because to me that was kind of odd. But it looks like he is going to get to that point before the playoffs.
Can you clarify something? Because I know you and Blake are both at the stadium from time to time and in these conversations with Dave Roberts. People have said that it's actually Shohei Ohtani who is dictating how far into games he is going. How do you interpret what we've heard? Is it Shohei Ohtani saying, hey, I only want to go 2 innings right now? Or is it Dave Roberts handling him with quote unquote kid gloves? Or combination? Or is it kind of a meet in the middle of Ohtani saying, hey, I'll do whatever you want to do, but if you're asking, then ...
I think that they had conversations of, once you get back into pitching games, this is what we think would be best. What do you think? And then he gave his input, and they formulated a plan based on that.
Okay.
I think the competitor in Shohei Ohtani, if they say, hey, like I just used his second start of the season, the plan going into it, Dave Roberts told us publicly, 1, maybe 2 innings. Then he said after that game, no, the plan all along was just 1 inning. So going into it, like, it's very clear, like Ohtani knows what I don't want to say like the max, I guess, if you will, is on him. Now, if he completes, 3 innings next time, let's say that's the plan, in like 20 pitches, I'm sure the competitor in him will say like, I want to keep going. I want to go again. But I think he understands that both parties have basically agreed to this plan that I think is pretty much set, and sure, they'll be somewhat flexible and adjusted, as we saw with, he came back and started pitching in games before they kept saying after the All-Star break was basically what it was looking like. And that got moved up basically a month. So in some sense, like, I get the frustration, but on the other hand, like, Ohtani wasn't even supposed to be pitching right now.
Yeah, a normal non-offensive powerhouse like Shohei Ohtani would be doing everything that we've gotten to see at the major league level. It would be happening in Oklahoma City or in Sugar Land or in Sacramento or something like that. Yeah. So I think, as our guy Daniel Starkin tweeted out, like, it's crazy that he's basically pitching for spring training against major league hitters and is still dominating them is pretty insane. So I've got to love it. Freedom says, hey guys, there's nothing I enjoy more than watching the Giants whine and cry. It is a beautiful sight. Freedom, we agree with you. It is a beautiful sight. And 7-game losing streak aside, they took 2 out of 3 from the Giants in San Francisco. Gotta love it. Love it.
Oh, real quick, speaking of whining, I forgot who the batter was, but he was complaining about the strike 3 that Yamamoto got, and it was like it was very clearly in the zone. Like, what are you upset about?
Yeah, and look, this series, if somebody wants to complain about the outside strike that a team is going to get against the other, like, good Lord, the Dodgers have gotten hosed a number of times. They did get one back with Tanner Scott in the 9th yesterday. So anyways, yeah, the Giants should not have been the team complaining is all I'll say. Rod with a prediction question. Which Dodgers will be the team's 3 best hitters post All-Star game? Use OPS. Do you need me to define OPS for you, Matt, or is that in the wheelhouse of non-nerd stats?
Real quick, so people are saying it was Casey Schmidt. So yes, thank you for reminding us. That's who was upset with the Ohtani strikeout. But no, Rod, I'm good with this one. Rod, there's no plus, there's no minus.
Yeah, you want weighted runs. He didn't want weighted runs create a plus because he knew that was for you.
Yes,
he would have asked for that, but for you, he's going to ask for OPS.
Yeah, Rod wants a real stat. I appreciate that.
Who you got? I mean, it's kind of like there's 3 guys. It feels like that are just out there.
Fruit. Yeah, Ohtani, Freeman, and Smith are the 3.
That feels like the 3 obvious ones.
Okay, so outside of them,
which one of those guys does Conforto replace in your estimation?
Freeman, only because he's been slumping for so long.
Okay, so are you sticking with those 3? Ohtani, Freeman, and Smith in some order?
I'll add Pajes in there. I think he'll get back on track because I feel like those 3 are too easy of a choice.
Yeah, the Will Smith, like, will he struggle in the second half? I think is like a real question, and so he would probably be who I would bump out of the top 3 if I had to move one of them. But those feel like the 3 obvious ones. Just because if you're asking me like who has more of like a dip maybe in the second half, Pajes, do teams sort of adjust to him in some way, shape, or form? Will Smith seems to be on another level right now, so hopefully he can maintain it. Baseball Geek says Kiki Hernandez is not better than Outman on offense and not close on defense. We were not suggesting he was better on defense. All we were suggesting is that he's good enough in center field that nobody really complains when he's out there in the same way that Ha-Seong Kim and Andy Pages have generated complaints. And he is not better than Outman on offense. You're probably right about that. However, one of these two guys is a hero in October, and the other guy is not. So Kiki Hernandez is not going anywhere for October alone.
I mean, even removing the October stuff, like Outman has struggled a ton every time he's come up offensively.
Yeah. I mean, Kiki Hernandez, I'll look at what his yearly numbers are at. Yeah, he's a 74 weighted runs created plus. Like since June 1st, we did that stat on our last show. He was like a 2, where 100 is league average. I mean, he's been Austin Barnes basically, which in your case, that's not a compliment, just to clarify, since June 1st. But yeah, I mean, I think we're splitting hairs when we're talking about Kike Hernandez and James Outman in regular season offense. We'll say that. Outman's a better defender. Kike Hernandez is going nowhere because he's a postseason hero.
Right. The reality is, like I said last year, Kike is around for October.
Yeah, exactly. And Outman, I'm sure, by the way, is much worse than 74 weighted runs created plus so far this season. 58. So, I mean, yeah, 16 points. At that point, I mean, who knows? Ray says, getting players healthy like Snell, Muncy, and Sasaki is going to feel like we added new players. I think the Dodgers will be fine. We did get a Roki Sasaki injury update pregame, which is being referenced here, which I think is a big one. Roki Sasaki, this is from Dave Roberts, is back to throwing bullpen sessions. His first one was 2 days ago. He'll throw another tomorrow. Roberts thinks he could be back around late August. This was Sonia Chen of MLB.com reporting on Dave Roberts' press conference before the game. But threw a bullpen 2 games ago, which is the most concrete thing we've heard other than, yeah, I think he's throwing, and I'm not sure how he feels. Late August feels like this garbage can that they just throw out there that it's like, oh yeah, Kopech's going to be back then and Muncy will be back then. Oh, Roki Sasaki, throw him in the same bucket. It's so far away that like nobody's going to question it. What do you make of the Roki Sasaki update that we got?
Certainly a positive development that he's throwing bullpen sessions. I know like when I'd been at the stadium the last few times recently and he was playing catch, like I did notice that he was throwing the ball a little bit harder. So I thought, okay, like that is good. I was concerned when things seemed pretty stagnant. And I think, Dave either misspoke or whatever the case was, like said before, the Sunday 110 game that, oh yeah, like we're not sure about Sasaki this year. And then said right after that game, oh no, actually he's doing well. Then I did start to see, like I said, kind of tangible improvement, if you will. And so, yeah, getting to the bullpen session, getting off a mound, like that's always a good step forward. I agree with you, like saying, oh, late August feels so far away. It's going to be here before we know it. And then I just wonder at that point, if he's barely like returning, then there's only 1 month left. And so I think the easiest thing is, and I had already reached this point before this update today, is Sasaki is a 2026 plan, whether literally or just in a sense of how much like he's going to contribute.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you 3 questions. You just answered one of them. September 1st, I'm going to name a player. You tell me if this player is pitching for the Dodgers by September 1st, okay? Playing or pitching. So the first is Roki Sasaki. You're saying no, right?
Correct.
Okay. Michael Kopech.
No, but
technically eligible like August 26th to return.
Right. That's why I'm not sure. Like, I think it would be Kopech would be before like September 8th or 9th.
Okay. So if I give, I'm fine. September 8th, you would say yes to Kopech is back before September 8th.
Yes.
Okay. And Sasaki is still a no. Like, you don't think he comes back this year?
Yeah, I don't see it. Like, I think maybe he starts a rehab assignment around the end of August, beginning of September.
Max Muncy.
I'll say yes.
See, I'm out. I think
September, like the 8th.
That was the other. We did get an update with him. He's been riding the stationary bike. That was an update that we got.
Moving around, I think, right, is what Dave Roberts said.
Yeah. So I'm skeptical on Muncy. That injury terrifies me. So that's what I got. Buck wants to know who is pitching the first game after the All-Star break.
I think Dave may have said today that it either is going to be Tyler Glasnow or probably is Glasnow. I think who can be ruled out. I think it would be a little too Ohtani. Like,
wouldn't be Yamamoto.
It won't be Yamamoto.
Kershaw's scheduled to pitch in the All-Star game.
Right. It won't be Kershaw because he's going to pitch in the All-Star game at some point. I don't think they would bring Ohtani. Dave has said already that Ohtani would be in the first 5 games, just obviously like given the state of the road, which okay. I don't think he would be the first one. So he may have actually said that it will be Glasnow. So I apologize for not having a firm answer, but if he didn't, then he at the very least he said Glasnow is the likely choice.
And that would mean probably Ohtani pitching the second game back, which would be 7 days.
Right.
And then it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as piggybacking with Ohtani goes, because Robleski seemed like he was sent down just to open up a roster spot, not because he didn't deserve it. But they've got to figure out what they're going to do with Dustin May in the second half of the season. Emmett Sheehan probably is ready to just be a starter and not need to be piggybacking other guys. Glasnow is back, as you mentioned. Yamamoto will be rested. Kershaw will be rested. So, look, no Dodgers team ever has too much starting pitching, but it does feel like they've kind of got 7 guys for 6.5 spots at the moment.
Yeah, so Dave in the past couple, I forgot if it was when May started Friday. Yeah, so it was after Friday's game. Dave Roberts he told reporters something. He alluded to the fact that they're going to look to give Dustin May some sort of break, like they'd always kind of planned to, just with this being his first season back from obviously Tommy John and then his throat surgery and things like that. He didn't rule out a move to the bullpen, but he also said like it's not something that they've kind of decided or settled on. I wonder if maybe Dustin May at some point here in the near future becomes kind of because Ohtani does ideally he needs a piggyback, right? So that it's not a full-fledged kind of bullpen game at this point. I wonder if maybe they tried Dustin May, like limit him, say Ohtani is going at least 3 innings. Say, hey, Dustin, we only need like 3 or 4 from you. And that's a way of kind of managing his workload, sort of giving him a break. Also kind of testing the bullpen role of down the line, if that's something you want to make permanent, stuff like that.
No, I think it's a great point. Robleski would make more sense from a righty-lefty perspective. Right. But again, Robleski for the last month and a half has been their second best starting pitcher behind Clayton Kershaw, for those wondering. But so at some point, you got to give these guys chances. So it'll be interesting to see. And May, by the way, can't be sent down. That's the other wrinkle in this whole thing.
I mean, I still have seen conflicting stuff. I know we went through this. That was at the beginning of the season. Did you get clarity?
You cannot be sent down. I know that for a fact. And now I think it's a service time thing. I think once you cross a certain number of years of service time, it does not matter if you have options remaining. Somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's like 5 years of service time. And the irony is he's over 5. I think it's 5. And the irony is like he's pitched no innings, but because he kept getting hurt at the major league level, you accrue service time when you're on the major league injured list. So Fangraphs says for the longest time, it said it had 3 options. It now says NA to options. So irrelevant. So he cannot be sent down.
Well, if he can, if he were to accept it.
Yes.
There could be a conversation of like, would you be open
Which I think it's a 0% chance. I think he would just say, I'll go pitch for another team would be my guess. So we'll see. Hey, look, one of us predicted that Dustin May might get traded before the trade deadline. So that's all I'm saying. We made some bold predictions. Speaking of, Thursday, probably going to be our bold predictions review show. So we'll check in on Tommy Edman stock. We'll check in on Clayton Kershaw stock. We'll check in on Dustin May maybe getting traded. There's some Conforto stuff we can just skip over. But I mean, for the real stuff, just stay tuned on that one. Okay.
Real quick, I see people are asking where Landon Knack is. He's in Oklahoma City. I looked at his recent games. He struggled. I saw a comment, I think, that said he was on the 60-day injury list. Landon Knack's he's not on the 60-day IL. He is still pitching, but it's been a little bit of a rough go for him recently. Yeah,
and Alex Friedman, when we had him on, who's the play-by-play guy, he's like, look, when you go from pitching in the Tokyo Dome to all due respect to fill in the blank AAA city in front of 1,800 fans, he's like, you kind of get it. So I would imagine that the Dodgers have not lost complete confidence in him, but a guy like Robleski, who I think probably started the year behind him, has definitely jumped ahead. Obviously, Emmett Sheehan has gotten healthy. And so I think his second half is going to be entirely dependent on a rash of injuries. Let's see. Blue Heaven, I'm guessing this means Mookie is a less than average hitter now, no power at all. We need to go get Griffin Jacks, Duran, or Chapman. Another power bat would help. I'm not interested in the Aroldis Chapman stuff, so you can just miss me on that kind of thing. The other relievers, sure. And again, I think the offense is going to be fine. This is like a month ago, it was the best offense in Major League Baseball. Everybody knows I still think Conforto is going to figure something out and become a productive hitter. So if that happens, who knows? But Mookie struggled. We get that. Speaking of Conforto, Fritz, maybe he needs to be hypnotized and convinced every opponent is the Giants. 3 hits yesterday, scored both the runs, baby. Stock, as some people are saying, Matt, up and to the right.
it's a little ironic that he got it going against the Giants at Oracle when the talking point coming out of there during the offseason when he signed was how much he hated hitting there.
Yeah.
And his splits like supported that. Like he did not do well in that home ballpark. And so I guess the revenge factor outweighs the struggling factor.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back and check. I know the big talking point was how many home runs. He had like 21 home runs and 20 of them were on the road. I can't remember if his actual splits were dramatically worse home and away or if it was just the power, which obviously that's not a place to hit many home runs. But to your point, it is funny that like in the park, that the whole talking point was maybe if we get him away from Oracle, he'll be better. And then maybe we just need to get him into Oracle is the problem.
Yeah, it might have been maybe specifically power related, but I do remember at least looking at the splits when we were writing about it at the time, that they were noticeable. Maybe not like complete, like he's hitting 100 type thing at home, but I thought that there was a pretty noticeable difference.
No, yeah, here you go. He hit 253 on the road, 216 at home. He had 17 home runs on the road and 3 at home. So
yeah, mainly was power.
Yeah. But I mean, that's 40 points in batting average difference in a place that, like, in theory, your batting average would be higher because that outfield is absurd. But Ivan says, I'm the biggest Roki fan. Am I the only one that doesn't want him to come back until he learns some more pitches and command? Look, if he comes back, it's probably going to be as a reliever late in the season because unless things go completely sideways injury-wise, there's not going to be a spot. I mean, look, again, everything always goes bad for the Dodgers. We know that health-wise. But, like, there's a world where they have There's no way, like if he comes back and Robleski is healthy and Sheehan is healthy, like he's not going to be ahead of those guys as far as starting pitchers go.
I agree, which is why I don't see a world where he is like, I think the best case for Roki at this point is he makes rehab starts for Oklahoma City, 2 or 3 times to finish out the year. He wasn't pitching well, whether it was shoulder related or not, or just adjusting to major leagues. Like he wasn't lighting the world on fire before he got hurt, or at least before he went on the injury list. I know he pitched through the shoulder trouble for a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I just don't think it would make sense to bring him back at this point that late in the season when, in theory, and knock on wood, that you're not going to be in need of a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I'm with you. Looking at the draft real quick, interesting pick. The Padres just picked, and they picked a high school kid, Cruz Schoolcraft, who's actually from up by me, the Portland area, but the Padres were the other team that were reportedly very in on Quentin Young, who is a player from Oaks Christian in Southern California, the nephew of Delman and Dimitri Young. And so the Padres and Dodgers were the 2 teams most linked. They ended up picking Schoolcraft at number 25. So if you are hoping for Quentin Young, that would seem to be an exciting pick for you. Pizza in the Box repeated this one twice. So I guess thank you for 2 super chats, and you get 2 entries into the drawing. But he says Seoul Series to World Series to Tokyo Series. Not surprising they were gassed. Last year they learned to pace themselves to the postseason. Way too early for panic. I actually haven't seen this specifically, Matt, as it relates to the sort of lull that we're in the middle of. But are you buying that? Look, the Dodgers had the shortest offseason because they won the World Series and because they had to start playing baseball games way before everybody else after doing the same a year ago. That maybe this is just an 18-month grind sort of popping its head up in the middle of the season?
I think that there could be some validity to like a kind of fatigue factor, if you will. Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily think of going all the way back to the Seoul Series, but yeah, it's a good point. That season obviously started earlier than everybody else and required some adjustment. I think they were better equipped for the Tokyo Series, having gone through it last year of international travel and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it impacts you. I think the other factor is, Scott brought this up when he joined up, like Freddie Freeman is a year older, Mookie Betts is a year older, and these guys weren't, 29 and 30 going into last year or this season to begin with. So it could be fatigue and kind of the wear and tear certainly could be playing a part. And as Pizza in the Box says, though, at the end, it is sort of way too early to panic. You can be concerned, which Jeff and I have gone over, I think, several possible stumbling blocks for the Dodgers this year, but there is still a whole kind of unofficial second half of the season. And look, the pitching staff the Dodgers had going into the postseason last year was pieced together and held together by Band-Aids, basically, and they made it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, a couple more super chats here. Freedom. Every team has a losing streak. You guys know the All-Star break will get our boys refreshed and ready to roll. We'll come back and get it on. We're with you. we're with you on that, Freedom. We appreciate the super chat. One clarifier, Dodgers Raiders. Doesn't Roki's contract say he cannot be sent down at any point? Matt?
It's the other way around. His contract, am I getting it mixed up actually with Hassan? I think I might be.
No, I think this is Roki had to sign a traditional
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's on a minor.
contract.
Yeah, he's
So
on a minor
he
league
has
deal.
3 options.
Yeah.
Kim, it was a big story that
Right.
every other Korean guy had built in that he couldn't be sent down, and he did not get that. So he
Yes.
started the season in Oklahoma City. So
Yes.
Unless I'm missing something dramatic, Roki had to sign the exact same contract that every other rookie signs, which is 3 minor league option years. Basically, obviously, the unique thing for him is that his first season under that contract is going to be at the major league level. So, okay, one thing we have not talked about that, thank you to all the super chats, super helpful, and we appreciate those, is the guy who started the game today was a gentleman by the name of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and he was, Matt, quite good. 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts for Yamamoto, and this for a guy that had not necessarily been awesome of late, to say the least. His last performance, 2/3 of an inning, was not his best. And even going back to like the middle of June, June 1st, 4 earned runs, no earned runs, 5 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 0, 1, 3. So this felt like a guy who's going into the All-Star break and just having a little bit of positive momentum. I know it's, the Giants aren't this powerhouse offensive team. That park can sort of limit offense a little bit, but this just felt like a big deal in a big spot, losing streak, the whole deal. For him to give them 7 strong, 7 strikeouts, no runs, it was a big one.
Yeah, and I think, the other factor too is Robbie Ray, think of him what you will, but he is an all-star this year. He's having a nice season. Like, he held the Dodgers in check even early, like even though the Dodgers, like, they took a 1-0 lead, and that's one mistake pitch and suddenly the game could be tied up. And even a 2-0 lead, like, that's not much breathing room for Yamamoto. And as you mentioned, not only coming off the worst start of his career, but just kind of a little bit of an extended stretch where he, regressed and just been inconsistent. So Dodgers, had just ended their losing streak. You don't necessarily want to go into the All-Star break with another loss type thing. You're not really sure how to feel. He really rose to the occasion. And honestly, like, kind of, I'll slide this in. Like, he is going to his first All-Star game of his career, which deservedly so. I don't know how much it's been necessarily publicized out there, but one thing that I was sort of disappointed by is Yamamoto's going because he was picked by Rob Manfred. He didn't make it based on player voting the way some of the other National League pitchers reached the All-Star game. And it is sort of splitting hairs and this semantics. But I thought, like, that was a little bit of a shock to me because he got off to such a strong start this season. Like, there were Cy Young talks, and I know that he struggled recently, but to see, like, peers not necessarily recognizing kind of his true talent and capabilities, if you will, like, that was a little bit of a disappointment for me.
Yeah. And of course, he's not going to be pitching in the game because he was scheduled to start today as well. But yeah, I mean, to your point, coming into today, a 2.77 ERA on the season, obviously that number goes down. It is now 2.59 ERA. Should have had a win today. Tanner Scott cost him that, and Ben Kasparius ends up with it. But again, I think just big picture, 7 innings on 91 pitches. The whiff numbers, I just had it pulled up. It was like 18 whiffs or something like that, which is a big number, an impressive number for him. So 13 whiffs, on 47 swings. So 28% whiff rate. It just had everything working. This is back to seeing the guy that it felt like for the first month and a half. Some people were saying Cy Young, and they weren't crazy about it. And so kudos to Yamamoto on that one. One other thing from today's game that we should probably talk about, because I know it was a big talking point among Dodgers fans, was the Roku broadcast. Some people had issues with the stream. That was not my experience. Steven Nelson was calling the game. Hunter Pence was the analyst. I will say kudos to both of them because I felt like they did a really good job of not sounding like a homer for the Dodgers and a homer for the Giants. But I had no issues with it. Like, I'm not here defending Roku for any reason whatsoever. Did you have any issues with it, Matt?
No, I thought it was fine. And I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted to kind of get a chance to discuss. I think for us, it was nice to hear a familiar voice in Steven Nelson. It was nice to hear a familiar voice in Kirsten Watson. So that helps. Like, oh, okay, it kind of feels like a normal broadcast, if you will. I think the other thing too with it is at least it was free. Like, I know in the past, like, and it is valid. Like, Now, asking fans to subscribe to Apple TV Plus to get the Friday Night Baseball one, or 2 years ago when it was Peacock. I don't remember if some of those might have been available for free, but then I think you needed to have like at least their basic, $4.99 subscription or whatever. The technical issues, like if that was happening for people, I do like understand frustration there. Like I didn't have that with me. A disclaimer, if you are here and the Dodgers are on Roku again at some point, it seemed to work for some people if you went through the MLB TV app.
Yeah.
I was fine just going through kind of the regular Roku app channel thing. But yeah, I thought all things considered, as much kind of hate and vitriol that these, streaming services get, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, and to your point, at least it was free. At least it wasn't, hey, sign up for this free trial or sign up for $9.99 a month. So there you go on that stuff. All right, let's get to some questions. If we haven't answered your question, go ahead, all caps questions, throw that in the chat, and we will get to as many of those as we possibly can. Just real quick, for those who missed the beginning, let's recap how this game went down, because it was pretty crazy. The Dodgers take a 2-0 lead in the 5th inning behind a Miguel Rojas home run that followed a Freddie Freeman RBI double. So it's 2-0 Dodgers. That lead persists all the way until the 9th inning when Tanner Scott comes in and, gives up a two-run homer to a guy that was hitting 165. He gets out of it to finish the 9th. The Dodgers come up in the top of the 10th, and it felt like predictably cannot score. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, that's a wrap. You don't score in the top of the 10th. The other team starts with the runner on second base. Surely this is over. Jack Dreyer comes into the game, and kudos to everybody not named Tanner Scott in the Dodgers bullpen, because they did their jobs. In the top of the bottom of the 10th, Dreyer gets a line out, an intentional walk to Ramos to get to Rafael Devers, and he hits an absolute missile to dead center that James Outman is able to run down. Ben Kasparius comes in and gets Willy Adames to ground out to Tommy Edman to get out of the bottom of the 10th. In the top of the 11th, Shohei Ohtani leading off. He is intentionally walked with James Outman on second. The Dodgers get 2 quick outs with Mookie Betts and Will Smith, and you're thinking, we're really doing this again. We're going to go through an 11th inning and not score. Instead, it's a bloop single, an infield single, a bloop single. The Dodgers score 3 runs, and then Ben Kasparius gets all of the outs. In the 11th inning, the Dodgers end up winning this one 5-2. Again, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. Vesia, an inning, strikes out the side, no hits. Dreyer, no hits. Kasparius, no hits. So, again, everybody not named Tanner Scott did their job. Freddie Freeman, the only Dodger with 2 hits today. They only had 6 in this game, did walk 4 times. Shohei Ohtani 1 for 3 with 2 walks himself. So the Dodgers win, again, a 6-game lead over the San Francisco Giants, a 5.5-game lead over the San Diego Padres, heading in to the All-Star break. Let's get to some of these questions. Shelly says, I had tons of problems. I couldn't hear it, kept turning off. How many more games on Roku? I don't know the answer to this question, Matt. Are the Dodgers on Roku anymore this season?
As of now, they are not. I don't know if Roku, I'd have to double check to see if Roku put out like their entire schedule through the second half. But I believe this might be their only one this year.
Okay. It is worth pointing out, we had Heidi Watney from Apple TV. She seemed to hint that there might be another Dodger game coming, although when I rewatched the interview, we were like, maybe she's talking about a different team and not the Dodgers. So who knows? Hopefully no more Apple TV games, because again, those are the most annoying. Iris says, who's responsible for the game being on Roku? Is that the Dodgers or MLB? I believe MLB, when they build these contracts with Apple and with Roku, those organizations then get to basically take their pick of the games that are happening on the dates that they've decided. Is that right, Matt?
Yes, more or less. Roku did take it from, remember Peacock, as I referenced, MLB had the deal with Peacock, which is NBC's streaming service. So Roku replaced that. And then at that point, Roku, Apple TV, Fox, ESPN, I don't know what the exact process entails, but there is a limit as to like the number of games can be selected for like only national or only streaming. So that does factor into it. But yeah, I mean, it is MLB's doing, making these types of deals.
I did check, by the way, there are no more Dodgers games on Roku. They are covering 1 game per Sunday from here on out. So they've got like 8 games left, I believe. None of them or the Dodgers. This was the last one. So good news there. Lewis wants to know, any news on Tony Gonsolin?
Not really. Not the last update we got was that he still wasn't throwing. And so if you want to start reading a little bit of tea leaves there and getting concerned, I'm not going to stop you. I'd be right there with you.
Jose wants to know if there was a comeback player of the year, who wins it for the second half. So I'm assuming what he's asking is who bounces back in the second half. There's lots of candidates. On the offensive side, I think Mookie Betts could be a candidate for this award. I think Freddie Freeman has been good enough on the whole that he wouldn't necessarily qualify. Of course, there's a gentleman by the name of Michael Conforto who's played a lot and been very bad. So he's an option. I mean, Tommy Edman has really, really struggled. So he would be an option. And then on the pitching side of things, I guess you could just Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell from a health perspective, Tanner Scott in the bullpen. Any of those names jump out to you, Matt, as a guy that you would sort of pick to have a bounce back in the second half?
Man. All of them.
Okay. Look at that.
The Dodgers need it. The Dodgers need it. So just say everybody gets back on track.
Conforto, baby. Conforto. He's figuring it out, people. He's figuring it out. JRM. Will Mookie finish the season with an OPS below 650? Matt just said he's having a bounce back. So his OPS right now, I believe, is like 690. 696. So he would have to be real dang bad to get below 650 in the second half. So I say no chance.
I agree. I don't see. I mean, this has felt like rock bottom for him. So I can't imagine it getting any worse.
Hallelujah. What does Kim have to do to qualify for Rookie of the Year? And is Mookie the starting shortstop next year? Do they try and implement their original plan if Lux didn't develop the worst yips I've ever seen? Let's start with the first one. What does Kim have to do to qualify for Rookie of the Year? There's nothing to qualify. Anybody who is a rookie, he's a rookie, could qualify. There's not a played games or at bats or any of that type of thing. Obviously, to accumulate the type of numbers required, he would need to play a lot. I would add he has not been awesome the last few weeks either. I know I'm not saying it's his fault. He's played inconsistently, all of that, but some of the shine, I think, is starting to wear off, which was expected. The guy was hitting like 500, so that wasn't going to continue. But the second question, do you think Mookie Betts is starting at shortstop next year? Or do you think Alex Freeland, one of their top prospects maybe, is starting at shortstop? How do you think they handle that?
I think it's still Mookie to at least begin the season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Unless there's been some major roster changes. Obviously, if Max Muncy's player option doesn't get picked up, that could change some things. But based on the way he was playing and the number that is at, I would say that is unlikely. Unless his knee is torn to shreds, which we've been told, just a bone bruise. Nothing to worry about, folks. JRM, will the Dodgers ever bunt in extras to move the runner to third? Potentially a sac fly scores a run. I will just say this real quick. It's when you are in the top half of the inning, the incentive to do so is far less. If you're the Giants and you know you only need one run to win, then bunting becomes far more profitable. I did see some people on Twitter suggesting that when Ohtani got intentionally walked, that would have been the moment to bunt. But you had Mookie Betts, who, again, some people are going to say he should have bunted, and Will Smith coming up. So if that was a different part of the order, maybe they changed their strategy. But in the top half of extra innings, it's not necessarily the statistically smart thing to do. I don't know if from the eye test, do you want to add to that, Matt?
No, that's pretty much what I was going to say. I think the scenario of Ohtani getting intentionally walked, like that would have been a good chance, like maybe an exception to that rule, if you will, that you outlined of why you don't necessarily do in the top half. But the Dodgers also are not about to ask Mookie Betts to lay down a sacrifice button. Whether you agree with that philosophy or not, like that's certainly your own prerogative. But just the optics and kind of the respect, I guess, if you will, like they're not putting him in that position.
Yeah. Eric asks, what was the Dodgers record at the break last year? Are you more confident now at the break than they were last year? About the same. I just looked this up. Shout out to somebody on Twitter. The Dodgers are 58-39 this year. They were 56-41 last year. So they are 2 games better than they were last year heading into the All-Star break. Just hilarious. They won the World Series last year. So Matt, are you more confident or less confident in 2025 compared to 2024?
I don't remember what my confidence level was a year ago at this time. I do remember that final series going into the All-Star break was like, I'm pretty sure back-to-back walk-off losses to the Tigers. And it was the 2024 Detroit Tigers, not this year's group that is leading the American League. So that was like, you want to talk about frustrating time. Like that was just like, man, Dodgers have hit rock bottom. They're completely out of pitchers. Yeah. Whereas now, like they have enough to, more than enough, at least starters, and you are counting on certain guys to come back. But yeah, in terms of confidence, I don't know. I honestly, I can't remember to really compare.
Yeah. I would imagine, obviously, we all feel less good about Mookie Betts today than we did a year ago. I would say Freddie Freeman, I'm probably in similar places. I'm not
Well,
overreacting.
Mookie was.
Oh, that's true. He was hurt.
He was out. So, but at least it was like
But that's better,
he
right?
was.
That's better than seeing him play poorly.
Yeah, because he had been. I mean, he was basically an
Yeah.
MVP candidate, and so it's like, okay, he'll come back from his hand fracture and then kind of pick up where he left off. So yeah, I mean, I guess your point still stands.
Yeah, and I would say too, from a pitching perspective, I have a terrible memory. I don't remember where the staff was at the All-Star break last year.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they like, is it Velasco, Ricky?
Oh yeah, Ricky Velasco.
Like, he was getting called. Like they barely made it
Yeah.
to basically
That's
the
true.
All-Star break.
So, I mean, like, the reason I feel like I'm maybe more confident today is because you can see a legitimate path forward where the Dodgers, all of their best starters, like none of them have been ruled out for the year. Let me put it that way. None of their best pitchers have been ruled out for the year yet. And so there's a world where Yamamoto and Ohtani and Glasnow and Snell and Kershaw, Sheehan, Robleski, May, like all of these guys are theoretically available today. So I don't know. I would say more confident, I guess. But they won the World Series last year, so that worked out pretty good. Yeah, Brent Honeywell still not on a roster.
No.
Wow.
I think him and Joe Kelly are going to be second half signings for the Dodgers.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe. Well, let's do 3 more, and then I have a food question for you. Cole, does Ohtani hit 60 home runs this season?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he sucks now that he pitches, so of course not.
Yeah.
Iris, I love this question. How does MLB get star sluggers to participate in the Derby? I don't want Ohtani to do it, but I'm just curious. Like, Iris is answering her own question in the second half. Like, to be clear, I don't want him to do it, but I don't know. I don't think there's a number big enough. Like, unless you're paying these guys $1 million a piece to participate, or like, even if you said, hey, we're playing for $1 million or $2 million, like, I don't know. I just feel like that wouldn't move the needle.
Yeah, I don't know if they get paid to do it. I know the winner receives money. I'm not sure if you get paid to just participate. General sense of how this is done. Obviously, they'll go to the host team and say, if there's a star, like in this case, it was Acuna before he withdrew, one of your star players interested in doing it. You want to have that hometown representation. Then I think they go to, I'm sure they put out feelers with Ohtani, with Aaron Judge, the guys that are definitely going to be all-stars and be playing in the game anyway. Like, would you want to add on the Derby? I know that there's a lot of hesitation and reluctance to this. I don't really feel strongly one way or the other. I know, like, I will say, I think this home run derby, like, it has, the potential to be okay if some of the young guys, like maybe James Wood puts on a show, or O'Neal Cruz perhaps, but I'm not really not as excited for the home run derby this year as I have been in seasons past.
This is fascinating to me. So I'm just going to kind of read from like a news article, because I just went down a wormhole in 30 seconds about how this works. So players elected or selected to the All-Star game or the Derby get 6 complimentary tickets, first-class flights for themselves and 2 guests, first-class accommodations, meal and tip allowances for 3 days, and $1,000 stipend and a gift from the league. Players on the All-Star team receive a ring. If it's their 5th, 10th, or 15th, they get another one. This is all CBA stuff. Here we go. The top vote getter at each position receives $15,000. Second most gets $5,000. Third gets $2,500. Mic'd up. This is interesting. You get a stipend for being mic'd up. You get 10 grand if you're mic'd up. That's set to increase to $15,000. That was last year. It increased. You split an $800,000 bonus if your team wins, $25K a piece. Home run derby players, the winner receives $1 million. Second place gets $500,000. Everybody else who participates gets $150,000. Whoever hits the furthest home run wins $100,000. So there you go.
So yeah, I mean, you do get paid, but again, like these, to Iris's point, like she's asking about the big stars, and so like I think to like 100, what was it, 100,000 to participate, or 150?
150 basically. If you don't finish first or second, you get 150K.
So I mean, that's 150,000. But if you're making tens of millions and you have made tens of millions, like, are you really, putting yourself through if you don't already have interest in the Derby, like, is 150,000 enticing enough for you? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, look, but for a guy only making $2 million a year, 150,000, Ohtani, you'd think that maybe he jumps at that opportunity. So, shout out to Dino Ebel. His son just selected by the Brewers at pick number 32 overall. I have no idea if that still counts as the first round or if we're in some stupid competitive balance A or whatever. But you know what? Shout out to you. Pick number 32, Brady Ebel, to the Brewers. So bummer it wasn't the Dodgers, but
that's a compensation pick that the Brewers had for Willy Adames.
There you go. Shout out to Willy Adames. Things somehow full circle. So there you go. 30-second pick. Carlos, Jeff and Matt, what would you consider a jaw-dropping trade from the Dodgers? I mean, I joked about Dustin May. Would that be jaw-dropping if Dustin May got traded out and like for some prospect?
I think a little bit. I mean, I think a lot of people would
It's probably
celebrate.
becoming less jaw-dropping by the day,
Right.
but a month ago it sounded way more jaw-dropping.
Yeah, I think it still would be. Jaw-dropping to me would be if they went and traded for like one of the top closers who may or may not be available types. Like I know Class A's name has been out there. We just talked about Duran earlier in this show. Like somebody of that kind of caliber. Yeah. If they make a move like that, that would be.
I think if DePaula, Hope, or Dalton Rushing is traded by the Dodgers at some point, that would be jaw-dropping to me. You could add some Jackson Ferris, Mike Sirota. I mean, there's other guys that other people might have in that list, but if they trade out of those three guys, who I think are probably the top three dudes in the org, that would be jaw-dropping to me. So that's what I would add. Okay, last one. I have a food question for you. We're at the hour 16 mark, so apologies to those who hate our food questions, but I am visiting my parents in Reno here. I sent you a picture of this menu item that I ordered yesterday, and I appreciate that you didn't respond. I'm talking myself into this by telling me that you didn't respond because you wanted to save this for the show. But I was at a food court. It's called the Reno Public Market. There's like 15 food stalls. Part of the reason I went here is because my wife wanted to get food from here. It just made life easier to be ordering from the same place. But what caught my eye was the Mexi hot dog is what it said. Chorizo on a bacon-wrapped hot dog, grilled onion, fresh pico de gallo. You ready for this list of sauces? Mayo, mustard, ketchup, roasted jalapeno avocado dressing, chipotle dressing. So that's 5 for those counting. And cotija cheese with seasoned French fries. It was $14. So we got a bacon-wrapped hot dog with chorizo on top, grilled onions, pico de gallo, a million sauces, and cotija cheese on top. Would you or would you not?
I would take some things off of it. It would depend on what...
I did no mayo, no mustard, and no ketchup. Those three had to be removed from this item. I wanted the jalapeno avocado dressing, the chipotle dressing, but I did no mayo, no mustard, and no ketchup. $14, by the way, is what this cost. With fries.
My concern would be, and I mean, you removed a lot, like just more so than like the number of condiments or sauces is just like, how do they mix together?
Oh, completely. There's 5 sauces on this thing normally. Like, what an insane... Whoever was like, yeah, let's put mustard on this thing. Like, I get it's a hot dog, but what are we doing? Mustard belongs nowhere near this item.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I think I could be talked into trying. It would depend on what kind of mood I was in when I walked in, but I would definitely adjust it and take some of the things off. I mean, it is a lot.
Yeah, it was good, by the way. I felt like the bun kind of failed it. The bun needed to be a little bit of a better vessel. The picture looks good, I'll tell you that. The picture looks impressive. Somebody's pointing out that I put cheese on my hot dog. So it's fair. It's a fair point. I didn't ask for it, but I didn't ask to take it off either. So that's on me. $14 for a hot dog. Okay, 2 things. One, it came with fries. Second of all, this isn't, I mean, there's some things on here.
Bacon wrapped.
This place was expensive. Bacon wrapped and with what did I say? I'm blanking on it. Chorizo on top. So we were just in a place where you weren't getting out of this food court for less than like $14. So I'm just saying. I talked on this one before. I walked out of a soccer stadium in Portland and they had the guy grilling bacon wrapped hot dogs just on the corner, and it was $10. It was the most outrageous thing ever.
Yeah, that surprised me. I remember we did you made Anthony was on that. I think it was just Anthony and I. We both guessed. I might have said 8 or 9, and I only guessed that high because I knew this, you're asking for a reason.
100%.
But yes, I mean at $10 like that,
it's crazy. It's crazy. So, anyways, the hot dog was solid, and probably wouldn't order it again. But that sounded good. Sounded good.
At least it wasn't bad. Like that's the most disappointing part to me is like if I'm going to venture out and try this. And if you think $14 is a lot or not, like, fine. And then if it's a complete letdown, it's like, oh, like, that was a total waste.
Again, the place we were at, you weren't getting out of this food court for like less than 12 to $15. So,
I mean, it came with fries. So I think that is a bit like, it wasn't just like, you're not going anywhere and getting a hot dog, a burger, a sandwich, and fries for less than like, you're not going to many places anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Other than In-N-Out, where I went today. So shout out to In-N-Out.
Somehow they're still doing it.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, that is Matthew Moreno. I'm Jeff Spiegel. This is Dodger Heads presented by DodgerBlue.com. Shout out to the over 2,000 people that are in here live with us. We appreciate you. We will be back on Tuesday, myself and Anthony, and then myself and Bruce again on Thursday. So we will be here throughout the All-Star break. Again, Tuesday, we'll have plenty of things to talk about. And then Thursday, we'll be talking about sort of first half recap, second half look ahead, going back through some awesome and terrible bold predictions that your boy made a few months ago. So that should be fun. As Matt mentioned, Tuesday will be the last chance to enter the YouTube version of our book giveaway. And if you miss out on that one or want to increase your chances, we'll be doing an Instagram one later in the week as well. So other than that, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell here. That is Matthew. I am Jeff. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Dodgers beat the Giants. They extend their divisional lead. They go into the second half on a 2-game winning streak. So as always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.